This is the Shirehampton Stuffed Wombat Society with their performance of And Then There Was Murder. As our story starts, we find our heroes, Major General Timothy Mugg and Dick Zung, dressing for dinner. They are in a large, mysterious house on a small, mysterious island. Listen on, if you dare.
Zung, could you just straighten my dicky?
You what now?
My dicky bow. Could you just...
Oh, I see. Yes, of course. How's that?
Perfect. Thanks. I must say, we scrub up pretty well in our dinner suits.
We do, don't we? Very good of the charity shop to do that 2-for-1 offer, too. Saved us bags of money.
Indeed. Though these patent leather shoes are pinching a bit. I should have worn them in first.
If you take the feet off one of my suits of armour, you could stretch them on those overnight.
Good idea. Anyway, now we're all dressed up, I guess we'd better go down for dinner. I wonder what they'll serve us.
And I wonder what the conversation will be like. I didn't really talk to anyone on the boat across to the island. I was more concerned with holding on to my suitcase and not being seasick.
Same here. I reckon there's going to be a storm before long.
Do you think our host will show up?
The mysterious Mr. Owen? I'd expect so.
Funny how neither of us has heard of him, but he seems to know plenty about us.
Perhaps we'll get a chance to quiz him over dinner. Come on, let's go downstairs.
I hope there'll be baked beans.
Have a glass of champagne, old boy.
Pommery?
Of course. Listen, I've been talking to the butler.
What, old Lurch over there?
I don't think that's his name.
Looks like a serial killer.
Anyway, he's been filling me in on who our fellow guests are. You see the young woman by the piano?
Yes.
That's Mr. Plume, first name Norma, but prefers to be called Nom. Apparently she's a secretary, just been taken on by Mr. Owen.
Our still absent host.
Indeed, this is her first day, which is why she was on the boat with us.
Who's the old buffer she's talking to?
Which one? I can see two old buffers.
The taller, slightly less buffery one.
That's retired Crown Court Judge Mr. Justice Palgrave.
And the more buffery buffer?
Colonel Mustark.
Colonel Mustard?
No, Mustark. M-U-S-T-A-R-K. Mustark.
He must get a lot of Cluedo jokes. What a strange name.
Quite. Mind you, I'm called Mugg and you're called Zung, so... Anyway, he's Colonel Mustark, and he's ex-army.
So, a trained killer and a hang-'em and flog-'em judge.
That's a bit of a leap. We haven't even spoken to them yet. We don't know what they're like.
Yes, but just look at the judge. The martinet if ever I saw one. And the colonel looks like he'd shoot first and ask questions never.
I think that champagne's gone to your head.
Well, look, here we are, in this big house, which seems to be the only property on what is a distinctly small island. Can't be more than a few hundred yards in any direction. The boat that brought us here set off again immediately and won't be back for 4 days. And we don't know who invited us, other than that he's called Owen, and neither of us know him.
Yes, true. Also, it seems from talking to the butler that none of the other guests know Mr. Owen either. Or each other.
But the butler must know him.
No, he's new too. Came out the island 2 days ago with all the provisions to get the house ready for us.
Curiouser and curiouser. Sounds like the plot of a
Dorothy L. Sayers novel. Yes, it does.
I was going to say...
Lady and gentlemen, your attention if I may, thank you. I am the butler. I have been asked to play you this message from your host, Mr. Owen.
Greetings to you, my guests. I am your host, Mr. Owen. I regret I am unable to join you, but I feel confident that you will have a memorable time on the island. And be sure of one thing. Your sins will find you out.
Good Lord, Mug, did you hear that?
I certainly did. I say, you, butler.
My name is Diath, sir.
Diath, what's the meaning of this recording?
I regret to say, sir, that I am as puzzled as you are.
But we must know something about it.
I regret not, sir. When I arrived here, I found a note from Mr. Owen asking me to play this recording to you all before dinner on the first evening. Its contents were as much a surprise to me as they were to you, sir.
I say, Mugg, I don't think Colonel Mustark is going to stand for that.
Now see here, Death, or whatever your name is. I was in the British Army, and I can spot a wrongo when I see one, and I believe I'm looking at one right now. You expect us to believe you knew nothing about this?
I'm afraid so, sir. I was engaged through an agency only last week. I never met Mr. Owen and know nothing about him.
But damn and blast it, man.
Gentlemen,
Yes, Mr. Plume?
I believe Mr. Diath is telling the truth. The same thing happened to me. I was taken on through an agency in the same way.
Well, it's a rum do if you ask me.
Rum do or not, it seems we have a mystery on our hands. Who is Mr. Owen? Why did he invite a group of strangers to this lonely house? And what does he mean by, your sins will find you out?
I'll say it again. It sounds like the plot of a...
Dorothy L. Sayers novel.
I was going to say...
Ladies and gentlemen, for those who have yet to be introduced to me, I am Mr. Justice Palgrave, retired, I should add. I no longer sit at the Crown Court. However, it seems to me there was a judicial air about the recorded words of our host. It felt like one of the summings up I've given many times in court.
I say, I've just had a thought. Diath, have you still got the note you say was left for you?
Yes, sir. I've been carrying it in my inside pocket. Here it is.
Thank you. Let's see. Dear Butler, please play this on the old gramophone on the first evening. Love and kisses, U.N. Owen. No clues there.
I beg to differ, old boy.
Go on.
U.N. Owen.
What about it?
Doesn't that strike you as a little odd?
Not particularly.
I think I see what Mr. Zung is suggesting. If you take U.N. Owen and reshape it a little.
Yes, U.N. Owen, un-Owen, unowen, unknown.
Damn it, the fella's right. Unknown. Somebody's playing a trick on us.
And a very sinister one at that.
But where does it get us? No further forward, I'd suggest.
Lady and gentlemen,
Diath, you have a clue?
I fear not, sir. I was merely going to announce that dinner is served. If you could all pass through to the dining room.
Bad time too, I'm famished. Will there be baked beans?
I regret not, sir. Simply a cold collation this evening, because I could not be sure what time the boat would arrive.
Hello? What's this?
Well, at a quick glance, old boy, I'd say it's a dining table and some chairs.
I can see that, dimwit. I meant the printed card in the middle of the table. It looks like a poem.
It appears to be one of those childhood rhymes.
Oh, I know, like, yum yum bubblegum, stick it up a...
No, not like that. Mr. Plume, would you read it out, please?
10 little corpses sat down to dine. One overfed himself, and then there were 9.
Lummy.
Ooh, I don't feel so hungry now.
10 little corpses? Why corpses?
It's the name of the island. It's called Corpse Island.
But why?
Because it's in the shape of a corpse.
Really? It looks sort of roundish to me.
Well, a corpse with its legs, arms and head cut off.
So not a corpse at all, really, then?
Look, the locals call it Corpse Island. So just deal with it, Jar.
I think she fancies you, Mugg.
Shut up.
Are we just going to stand here all night, or are we actually going to do something? It's getting late, so I suggest we have some food, retire to our rooms for the night, and cover the problem afresh in the morning.
And I suggest we all lock our doors. Let's not take any chances. If anything happens, shout out and Zung and I will investigate.
We will. Bagsy, you go first. Mugg, old boy, shut the window. I'm trying to sleep.
No time for that, Zung. It's 9 a.m. Time we were investigating.
9 a.m. already? I feel like I've hardly slept.
Well, you did. Soundly. You didn't even wake up when I hit you.
Hit me?
You kept grabbing me in the night and crying out, "Mummy, save me!"
Ah, Yes, well, probably just a bad dream.
One you had about 5 times.
Oh dear. Well, I'm up and ready for action now. What's the plan?
I suggest we head downstairs and see if there have been any developments.
Lead on, McMug.
I think you should put some clothes on first.
Ah, yes, good point. I left one of my suits of armour on a hanger overnight to get the creases out. I'll pop that on under my dinner suit.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, everyone. Have there been any developments?
I should say so. Take a look at this.
Good Lord.
Oh, I say. That's horrible.
The work of a fiend, I fear.
Mug, do you think you could, describe what we're seeing as if we were in some sort of audio production?
Why on earth would I do that?
Humour me.
Oh, very well. We are looking at the body of Diath, the butler. He is lying stretched out on the kitchen floor. He is naked and his head has been cut off. A cucumber has been inserted into his windpipe. You know what this means?
No fried breakfast?
There's a killer amongst us.
Oh, brilliant, Mug. We'd never have worked that out without you.
Thank you. But why is he naked?
Butler in the buff?
He's about as buff as a zombie with the pox. And that was when he was alive.
Hello?
It's Mr. Plume. We can't let her see this ghastly sight.
Too late.
Hello, everyone. I say, has Diath been murdered? Head cut off. I see. Guess this means I'm making breakfast.
Mr. Plume, you don't have to be brave about this.
That's right, I don't. Would you pass me those eggs?
Right.
Can we have baked beans?
I shall do some especially for you, Herr Zung.
Woohoo!
Zung, can I have a word in private? Listen, old boy. I don't want to come between a man and his baked beans, but I'm not sure you're taking in the seriousness of the situation. Trapped on an island with a bunch of strangers, one of whom is now a headless corpse. Capiche?
Well, now you put it like that, yes, I capiche very much.
We're going to need to keep our wits about us if we're going to get off this island alive. I don't want anyone attacking me in the night and trying to cut off my...
Sausage?
I was going to say head. Oh, I see. Yes, sausage, please. And some bacon?
And you, Mr. Zung?
Oh, just baked beans, please. With a little bacon. And a sausage or two. And some scrambled eggs. Mushrooms, black pudding, hash browns, tomatoes, fried bread, and a spoonful of haggis if you have some.
Coming right up.
Zung, how can you stuff your face at a time like this?
We have to eat, Mug. Keep our strength up and all that.
I'm surprised you didn't ask for the cucumber that was stuck in Diath's windpipe.
I've been wondering about that. Why was there a cucumber stuck in his windpipe?
If I'm right, it's to do with a rhyme. 10 little corpses sat down to dine. One overfed himself, and then there were 9. It's a rather sick joke.
Gruesome. Hang on a minute, though. If we could locate the rest of the rhyme, it might give us a clue to who the killer will target next. But where can we find it?
Well, there's only one person on the island who could have typed out that card we found on the dining table last night before we got here. Diath.
But he's dead.
I mean, before he was murdered. Come on, let's search his room, and quickly.
Found anything yet, old boy? All I'm turning up is butlering equipment. Or is it butling equipment? Actually, what is the correct term for...
Never mind that now. Look at this, hidden under the typewriter. It's the rest of the rhyme. And it counts off 9 more victims until there are... none.
Well, that's a relief.
What are you on about?
Maths, dear boy. There aren't 9 of us. Just you, me, Nom, the judge and the colonel. That's 5. The rhyme can't relate to us. We're too few.
That just means there are fewer people for the killer to kill, Nitwit.
Now, hang on.
Also, think of the archers.
The everyday story of country folk? What's that got to do with it?
They used to have up to 7 actors in every episode, but that's now been reduced to 6 because of budget cuts. And I think we're in the same boat.
I say, What a horribly chilling example of radio drama being echoed in our own suspiciously fictional-sounding but nevertheless very real lives.
Too right. We need to see if there's a rhyme that might relate to one of us 5. Let me see. Oh, lummy, there is.
What is it?
5 little corpses had breakfast from the store. 1 shot ahead of herself, and then there were 4. Herself. That can only mean...
Ah, Mugg Zung, there you are. Come quickly, something terrible's happened.
I fear we're ahead of you, Judge. It's Mr. Plume. Nom, isn't it?
By Jove, how did you know? Yes, the Colonel found her. Looks like she's been shot in the head. Quickly now, follow me.
Yes, I just popped in to say thank you for the particularly fine scrambled eggs, and I found... Well, you can see her over there in the armchair.
Looks like she's been shot straight through the forehead. How terrible. I'd better take a closer look.
I wouldn't. Could be a trap.
A trap?
I saw this sort of thing in the army. You go to rescue a body of a fallen comrade and bingo. Suddenly the whole scene blows up and you've lost all your men.
Crikey. Yes, I think I'll stay put.
Mugg?
Yes?
Just returning to the subject of maths for a moment.
Yes?
Well, with Diath and Mr. Plume dead, that leaves you, me, and the Judge and Colonel here. One of us must be the killer.
Not quite logical, Mr. Zung. There could be someone else on the island, someone who's been hiding.
I'm afraid not, Judge.
But how do you know?
Because last night I searched the entire house and the island.
You did?
Yes, I got fed up with you constantly pouring me in the night.
I don't think we need to know about your domestic affairs.
So I took the flashlight and searched absolutely everywhere. This little rock is so featureless you could barely hide a mouse on it, let alone a killer.
A killer mouse?
No, just a killer.
Oh.
So yes, it seems one of us is the killer.
Well, it isn't me.
And it's not me.
And I can rule out me. I've been with me the whole time and I haven't killed anyone. Oh my God! Mugg! It's you!
Of course it's not me, Dumbo. Good grief, how long have you known me? Decades. And have I killed anyone? Anyone in that time? No, I haven't.
That is true. Mugg has never killed anyone.
Oh, there's always a first time.
Except when there isn't, Judge. Look, let's all keep cool heads. The last thing we want to do now is panic.
Well, actually, panic is the first thing I want to do. I'm doing it right now, in fact.
Well, don't. We can't all watch each other, so I suggest we split into teams of 2. Me with Zung and the Judge with the Colonel. And we station ourselves in separate parts of the house while we try to reason this out. We can meet in the hallway as a kind of no man's land if someone has an idea or wants to get us together. Agreed?
Agreed.
Right. Come on, Zung, to the kitchen.
I say thanks for putting that tablecloth over the body of the butler, Mugg. Makes the kitchen feel a bit less murdery. And sorry for doubting you, old boy.
Understood.
So, what do we do now?
Wait. That's all we can do. I can't see a solution to this. We just have to wait for either the Judge or the Colonel to slip up and give themselves away.
So you think it's one of those two?
Yes. We know it's not us. The butler and Mr. Plume are dead, and there's no one else on the island. Therefore...
I told you, didn't I? Right at the start of all this, I said we were trapped with a trained killer in the Colonel and a hang-'em and flog-'em judge.
Well, thank you for that helpful insight. Perhaps you could tell me which one of them is the killer.
Ah, no. Sorry. Looks like we'll just have to wait, like you said. Fancy some cold baked beans?
No, but don't let me stop you.
Thanks. Tell you what, though, I've just had a thought.
Oh, yes?
What we need is for the Judge to shoot the Colonel, or the Colonel to shoot the Judge. Then that way we'll know who the killer is and it'll be 2 against 1. Gives us a fighting chance of at least one of us getting off the island alive.
True, but the odds on that happening must be astronomical.
I think the odds just dropped.
And dropped again. Come on, Zung, quickly. Well, they're both dead. Shot at fairly point-blank range, I'd say.
But which one fired first?
Neither.
Neither?
Look around you. Can you see a gun?
No. But that can't be.
And yet it is. As you keep saying, it's just like the plot of a Dorothy L. Sayers novel.
Actually, I don't keep saying that. I keep trying to say that it's like the plot of an Agatha Christie.
How so?
Well, in her novel And Then There Were None, which has frankly almost unbelievable similarities with the situation we're in, the murderer is... Ah!
Zung! So, it was you all along. And I never suspected a thing. What a fool I've been.
Well, you see, Major General Mugg, I am very clever, even if I do say so myself.
That trick with you pretending to be shot in the head and getting the judge and the colonel to play along, I suppose you convinced them that Zung or I was the killer.
Yes. Old buffers are very easy to persuade when you're a beautiful young woman.
I wouldn't know.
It just took a spot of red makeup on my forehead, and the colonel managed to stop you examining me too closely. And then when the two silly old fools were left alone together, well, it was just too easy to bump them off.
So you were UN Owen. You set all this up. But what was all that stuff about be sure your sins will find you out on the recording that was played on the first night?
Ah, yes. It's exposition time. The judge, the colonel, and the butler had all done unspeakable things in their earlier lives.
Unspeakable?
Unspeakable.
Then we shan't speak of them.
Suffice it to say that each man deserved to die.
But not me, surely. And certainly not poor Zung.
I know you are mourning your friend, but believe me, I have good reason to want you both dead.
But why? I've never met you before.
So you think. But this is my ultimate cleverness. You see, I am not Miss Nom de Plume. That was just a
made-up name. I am actually your arch-enemy Count Adolf Brassel. Good grief! Let me just remove these highly realistic prosthetics and voila! My God, and to think I fancied you a bit. Well, thank you very much. Only a bit, mind. Even so. Anyway, moving on. You engineered this whole thing just to eliminate me and Zung? What a stupidly overcomplicated plot. Well, that is my stock in trade. So what happens now? Well, I just inflate this collapsible rubber dinghy I have hidden about my person for the past 2 days. Crikey, where were you keeping that? Don't ask. It has been rather painful. Now, all that remains is for me to kill you, row back to the shore, and continue my life of crime. Goodbye, Mugg. You'll never get away with this. I'll die before I let you. Of course. I completely forgot that you had one of your suits of armour on under your dinner suit.
Exactly. Old Brussels' bullet winded me a bit, but that was all. I decided to play dead and see if I could come up with a plan. Turns out both the judge and the colonel had a gun stashed in their luggage. Once Brussels was confronting you on the beach, I nipped down under cover of the rocks and saved the day. Go me!
You cut it a bit fine, though.
Yes, sorry about that, old boy, but I was so stunned when Brussels took off his disguise that I nearly dropped the gun.
But you weren't aiming to kill.
No, we're not killers, you and me. just a couple of chums bumbling through life. A small flesh wound was all it took to discombobulate Brussels. Wonder what he's doing now.
Probably stalking up and down the beach, wondering how he's going to explain himself when the cops turn up. I'll phone Crime Stoppers once we're back in signal range. I can see the coastline now. Fancy rowing for a bit?
No, old boy, you're doing a splendid job. Carry on. I've got an appointment with this tin of cold baked beans.
Yuck.
And Then There Was Murder was written by Richard Hall, with apologies, and starred Tim Reed as Timothy Mugg and Adolph Brussel. Richard Hall was the announcer, Dick Zung and Diath the butler. Beth McCann was Nom de Plume, Grant Cassidy was the judge, and Paddy Fowler was the colonel. Mr. UN Owen appeared as himself. Sound effects were murder, and it was a stuffed wombat production.